Okay, so in today's Emu Deck for Windows Setup Guide, we are taking a look at the awesome RPCS3. This is a PlayStation 3 emulator, and in this setup guide, we're going to be showing you how to set this up correctly, which files you need. I'm going to leave links in my description for everything I'm doing for this video. We're going to be showing you how to add RPCS3 into your Steam library and also how to add PS3 games into your Steam library so they're easier to access. There's a load of information in this video. If you want PlayStation 3 on Emu Deck for Windows, check this one out. Okay then, before I start today's Emu Deck for Windows in RPCS3 or PS3 setup guide, if you like what you see today, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss upcoming retro emulation content. So today then we're looking at Emu Deck for Windows and PS3, and we're going to be using RPCS3 as the emulator to get this running. So first of all, what we're going to need to do is just head into Emu Deck. Now, if you're new to Emu Deck for Windows, I uploaded the initial setup guides the other day when Emu Deck become free, as in beta. So the other day during the initial setup guide, I went for the easy option during the initial setup process, which would have downloaded all the emulators. From here, I'm going to just go and assume you've used custom. So let's just make sure you've actually got RPCS3 downloaded on your computer. So to do this, what we're going to do is go to manage emulators. And from here, we're just going to go down to RPCS3 and we're going to install this. Now just remember, if you went for the easy option when you set up Emu Deck for Windows, you won't want to do this. Okay, so it's now been installed, so we're going to close this. And the next thing I'm going to suggest doing is just adding this to your Steam library. So to do this, we're going to go to Steam ROM Manager. Okie dokes. And what I suggest doing, rather than parse everything to your Steam library, just toggle this to off. And what I'm going to do is just highlight and left click on emulators. And from here, I'm going to go to add games, and then I'm going to click on parse. And as we can see, we've now got several emulators parsing into our Steam library. Now, the good thing with this is we actually got option which artwork to use. If I use these arrows, I got a couple of options there, which image we can see in a Steam library. So I'm going to go for this one, and we're going to save to Steam. And that's it. So we can now close this down, and we're going to close this down. Let's just open up Steam a second, just to make sure that's actually been added into our Steam library. Cool, and we're just going to go over to the library tab. And as we can see, I've now got emulators, but the one we're looking for is obviously RPCS3. So what we're going to do next is just close out of Steam, and we're going to need to talk about compatibility for RPCS3. So what I'm going to do, I'll leave the link in my description, and we're going to head over to the RPCS3 website. Now, if you go to compatibility, it's going to tell you here everything which is compatible with this emulator. So you're going to notice that 2,504 games are playable, and that means perfect, really good quality. If we go to the orange, 1,045 games are in-game, intro, loadable, nothing. The games that you need to target, which are going to work perfectly fine, pretty much 99–100%, are the games in green. So if we just take a look through this list, you're also going to notice that there's two images here, or icons. We got a PlayStation icon, which tells you that this is absolutely fine for PSN games. And we got disc. So if you got your games in disc format, and we got green, absolutely playable. We also got region codes here. So say you've got an American copy of 007 Quantum of Solace, just check it's got the same region code as you're using, and that's going to work fine. So for example, today, the game I'm going to be using is Street Fighter IV. If I just go to S, and I just briefly search my game. If I go to number 10, all of these are in alphabetical order. We're going to find Street Fighter IV. Now, mine is a disc copy, as we can see, or a Blu-ray copy, and it's marked off as playable, therefore it's going to work perfectly fine. Next thing we're going to want to do is download some firmware for this, otherwise it's not going to work. Now, I recommend using Microsoft Edge. In my case, I can't download this using Google Chrome, which is my preferred browser. So we need to download the latest firmware, which is 4.90 for PS3. And what we're going to do is just go down to update using the computer, download PS3 update. And if you get a little pop-up saying it can't be downloaded because it's insecure or whatever, just go to more actions, keep anyway. And that's now going to download what's called a PS3 update.pup, which is the 4.90 firmware, which is the current and latest PS3 firmware. Okay, so we got our PS3 update.pup, which is obviously our firmware, and we need to put this into the folder where Emulation Station installed to. So, generally, if you didn't put this anywhere else when you installed Emulation Station, Emu Deck, it's going to be in your C drive. This PC, in my case, Emulation BIOS, and we're going to drag and drop that PS3 update.pup into that Emulation BIOS folder. Okay, next thing we're going to want to do is go into the ROMs folder, and we're going to just drop down until we come across PS3. Here's PS3. Now here's my Street Fighter IV game. If I go in there, this is your common disc format PS3 game, which you can extract. We got a PS3_disc.sfb, and we got a folder PS3_game. We got everything in here we need, and it's important that you got the eboot.bin. That file is the game itself. What we're going to do is drag in our game into that ROMs PS3 folder. And if we close out of here, what we're going to do next is go back into Steam. And let's just open up Emulation Station Desktop Edition. Okay, so we can now see PlayStation 3 with one game, which is going to be my Street Fighter game. Here it is. Let's just get some artwork for this. So main menu, scraper, screen scraper, scrape these systems, Sony PlayStation 3, back, and then just add your account settings. And we're then going to scrape some artwork. And here we go, looking awesome. One game successfully scraped. Okay, if we come back out, here's our game. And let's just open this up. Now we're going to come across this little window, RPCS3, PlayStation 3 emulator. We need to briefly set this up. We can create a desktop shortcut so you can access this emulator by just pressing on your desktop shortcut. But I'm not going to touch that for now. What I'm going to do is just click on I have read the quick start guide, do not show again, and go to continue. And it's telling us that firmware is missing. If we just OK this, what we're going to do then is exit out of Emulation Station, main menu by pressing start. Quit Emulation Station, yes. What we're going to do then is go back to the Steam, and we're going to go to RPCS3, and we're going to go to play. Okay, so we can see our game's been added into the emulator itself, but we need to install that firmware, which is the PS3 update.pup. If we go to File just here, Install Firmware, and then we're going to navigate to that BIOS folder. So, as we know, it's going to be in this PC, in my C drive, Emulation, BIOS, and then I'm going to double left click PS3 update.pup. This is going to take a good few minutes, and so we're going to just hit don't show again, OK. And this is now going to do something called compiling PPU modules, and this is going to take a short while, like I say, but just be patient on this. Okay, and if we just drop down on this log just beneath, we're going to find the firmware has now been updated. It's going to be listed there somewhere. So we got our firmware installed and we got our game installed. Let's just quickly boot up Street Fighter from RPCS3 itself. So double left click. And what this is going to do is a one-time process, is do the similar to what it just did with the firmware, compiling PPU modules. Let me just remind you that RPCS3, just like some other higher end emulators these days, uses a system called shader compiling. So on your first time of playing a game for RPCS3, it's going to say building shaders, that type of thing. Like I said, it's literally building parts of the graphics and popping them into a folder. So your games are going to initially appear to be laggy up until you played the game a couple of times, and then you'll find that lag is then going to ease off. But like I say, one-time process, and generally on your second game, it's going to be gone. And here we go, you can see compiling shaders now at the bottom. And in terms of saving data and everything else, RPCS3 emulates just like a real PS3. So everything you save is going to be saved and you can go back to it at a later date.
Street Fighter 4. Bask in the glory and adoration that comes with being declared the world's greatest fighter.
Okay, so to exit out of there, I've just pressed escape on my keyboard and I've just closed it down. So this time what we're going to do is go back into Emulation Station and open it through there. Okay, PS3, Street Fighter. So we're going to go through video settings in a minute. As you can see, shaders is no longer at the bottom, but they will kick in again in a minute.
Street Fighter 4. Bask in the glory and adoration that comes with being declared the world's greatest fighter. Whoever wins this one will have their name engraved in the pantheon of world warriors.
The answer lies.
And the battle begins. Fight!
Hadouken! Shoryuken!
K.O.
Oh, crap!
Okay, so let's take a look at some video settings. So we're going to need to go back into the Steam library and open up RPCS3 to do this. So play. Okay, so we're back into the RPCS3 graphical user interface. So what we're going to do from here, we got two options to play around with video settings to make things perfect for you. So we can either do this per game or as in general. So whatever video settings we play with, it's going to apply to everything. Now, personally, I advise doing this per game because PS3 games can work well with particular video settings, whereas some other games won't necessarily do so. So let's just go for Street Fighter IV. So before we do anything, what we're going to do is just right click on our game and we're going to go down to manage game packages. New patches are available. Do you want to update? Yes. Your patch file is now up to date. So in some cases, what we're going to find is little patches to enhanced or PS3 games. This particular game doesn't seem to have any. But if your game does have some, then you can easily just select which patches you want to apply and then just go to apply and save. So video settings in itself, like I was saying, we can do this per game or in general. So we're going to do per game. And what we're going to do is go down to create custom configuration from default settings. If we left click, this here can be pretty complex, and in some cases it's worth your while just typing into Google RPCS3 followed by the name of your game, and that will give you a heads up through their wiki of what settings, video settings work best. If I just briefly cover this and go to GPU, just here we're going to find render at the top. Now, normally games work fine with Vulkan, but you also find some games which are supposed to work but aren't working for you, maybe give you a black screen. Swap this open to OpenGL. But as we can see, Vulkan, in this case, is working fine for Street Fighter IV, so I'm going to leave that to Vulkan. Next thing we got is aspect ratio. Now, as we know, PS3 was designed for 16:9 pretty much, so we're going to leave that there. Now, if we go to anisotropic filter, if you've got a potato computer, don't bother bumping this up to 16 times. You'll find your game's going to lag and it's not going to perform properly. And in general, that goes for any PS3 game on RPCS3. If you've got a lower end computer, a weak CPU and a weak GPU, your games are going to lag entirely. So what I'm going to do is just go up to, say, 2 times for this, because this game performs well on my computer. And we also got anti-aliasing. Now, anti-aliasing takes away jagged edges. This is going to be set to auto, and I'm going to leave that way. Next up, we got default resolution. I always suggest leaving this to recommended 1280 by 720p. Most PS3 games, minus a couple of games, were in 720p. But we can actually upscale this by going to resolution scale and just popping this up, and we can go beyond 4K doing this. Just be mindful again that if you've got a lower end computer and your computer can't handle it, the further up you go with this scale, you're going to find incredible amount of lag. And I mean, even your top end gaming computers are going to struggle in some cases. But even if we go up to, say, 150% in my case, 1080p as we can see, should work okay because this game has no problems on my laptop. Resolution scale, in most cases, leaving this the default should be on. We also got VSync to apply just here. If you noticed just a minute ago during gameplay, there was a lot of screen tear. If we check this to on, that's going to be fine. Now, another important option just here is right color buffers. Now, you'll find some games the colors aren't right. So like I say, take a look at your wiki on Google, followed by the name of your game. And in some cases, it will say put right color buffers on. So what we're going to do is apply, save custom configuration, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you're having issues with your controller, in my case, my controller has been picked up just fine. All we're going to do is just go to pads. And from pads, you can then configure your controller from there. But like I say, my Xbox controller is working fine. It's automatically detected it, and I didn't need to do this, but this is how you do it in case you do need to set up your controller. And remember to press save once you've done that. Now, say you want to use RPCS3 outside of Emulation Station, we can slightly customize this. If we go to grid, you'll have your games in a grid, and we can also enlarge these. So anyway, what I'm going to do is just exit out of this. So file, and I'm going to go to exit. So I've got these video settings applied. I've set it to 1080p, and I've also put another option on for video. So what I'm going to do is go back to Emulation Station, play.
Street Fighter 4. The world's fiercest fighters await. Will you be the last warrior standing? Whoever wins this one will have their name engraved in the pantheon of world warriors.
The answer lies.
And the battle begins. Fight!
Shoryuken! Shoryuken! Shoryuken!
KO!
Okay, so finally, everything's working fine as we see, but finally, we can actually add this into our Steam library. It's the game itself. So, main menu, quit Emulation Station, yes. And what we're going to do is just go back into Emu Deck. And I'm going to go down to Steam ROM Manager. And again, under toggle parsers, I'm going to just check this to off. What I'm going to do is just go down. And I'm just going to go to extracted, add games, parse. And here we go. So just like a minute ago when we could change the artwork, we can actually do this with this too. So let's click on the arrows and we can choose which artwork we want. So let's just go for standard. Then remember to save to Steam. Do in batch, done adding. Now we're going to exit out of this, exit out of EmuDeck, reopen Steam. And if we go to library, we can now see Street Fighter IV in RPCS3. We can use this to play.
Street Fighter 4. Whoever wins this one will have their name engraved in the pantheon of world warriors. And the battle begins. Fight!
So that's it for today's Emu Deck in PS3 RPCS3 setup guide. If you like what you see today, hit notifications, subscribe, and don't forget, if you didn't check out the initial setup guide for Emu Deck, which I uploaded a couple of days ago, check that one out, and that should get you sorted with understanding a little bit more about Emu Deck for Windows now that it's free and in beta. So anyways, join me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. But until next time, stay retro.